pissed off.
All right, guys. So this is Lou from Trying to Strengthen Athletics. We're going to interview Mr. Dan Pope today, all the way from the Dirty Jers, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, right. Dan's a pretty interesting individual. He does a lot of things, but I'll let him talk about what he does and what he's all about. But first, let's start off with just tell us a little bit, basically, about yourself, education, sports you played, basic athletic history and whatnot and all that.
All right, man. I guess I'll start from the very beginning, I guess, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, I've always loved exercise. I can't always say that it's been sports that I've loved. I've always liked fitness in general. And I remember being real young, maybe 8, 9, 10 years old. And then my father was always encouraging me to be active. And he's always getting me interested in things like push-ups and sit-ups and pull-ups. And for whatever reason, I just really, glommed onto it. And it kind of became the person that I was, even real young on. I remember coming home from school, even at like 10 years old, 11 years old, and I would be hanging out with my parents. And they had a flower nursery. And I'd be doing pull-ups, push-ups. And I just really, really liked it. And I'm not even sure why. It's just something that was kind of innate and intrinsic,
Mm-hmm.
And I was always a real shy kid, and I always remember wanting to be a little more outgoing, a little cooler. I was the type of kid in high school that, I sat at the lunch table with maybe like 2 other people, right? So if they're absent, I'm in trouble, right? I'm sitting by myself with my sandwich, my lunchbox, looking like an idiot. And, at that point, I still loved fitness, but I just kind of said to myself, like, man, I don't like this very much. I'm not even sure what exactly happened, but I remember thinking to myself, like, man, I want to change this. I don't like it. So, at that point, I was like, all right, I'm just going to say hi to everyone that walks by. Right? I'm just going to change the person I am and start saying hi. And I'm a pretty introverted person, and I think that, one of the things I wanted to talk about was that I think a lot of people out there want to make a big difference in other people's lives. They want to start, open a gym or run a website or try to inspire people. And, they have a hard time doing it, but I'm very introverted, always have been, and it's been a long process, and it's something I've kind of changed over time.
Mm-hmm.
So going through high school, I just know I absolutely love fitness. I was involved in a lot of sports, did tennis, soccer, cross country, wrestling, winter track, spring track, and I really, really enjoyed it, and it kind of became the person I was. I wasn't really especially popular, still a very introverted type person, and I just knew that I absolutely love this stuff. I love fitness. I stumbled upon tnation.com, John Berardi, followed every program that I found. I tried to get all my friends involved. I brought all my friends to the gym. Like, we're doing German volume training today, 10 sets of 10 squats. I had no idea what I was doing. I just knew that I absolutely loved it.
You were fucking shit up. That's what you were doing.
Yeah, dude. Just destroying my body, not realizing it, But I didn't care because I loved it. At that point, I was like, I don't necessarily know what I want to do with a career, but I know I want to do something in fitness.
Mm-hmm.
And I just started emailing all the guys on Teenage. Like, how did you get to where you are today? I think you guys are great. How did you open up your business? How did you get known? Like, what did you do? Some people responded, some people didn't. I had some real good advice from some people. Some people just disregarded what I was doing. And I just kept on listening to what they were saying. And through college, I majored in exercise science. I was at a Division I program for track and field at Rutgers.
Okay.
I was pole vaulting. It's a little goofy sport. If you guys never heard of pole vaulting, it's when those guys run down a track with a big flexible carbon fiber pole, jam into the ground, and shoot themselves over a bar. And that was cool. I enjoyed that. But I was also doing like Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and just at the gym every day. And I just loved exercising. It wasn't even just the competition that I liked. It was just fitness in general. And I kept up with that. I'm supposed to do 2 internships for school. I ended up doing 6. I worked all through college doing personal training, trying to train all my friends. Just really couldn't get enough of it. And, as far as trying to develop my personality, I kind of forced it. I tried to just make everyone excited whenever I met them. I had this one good buddy in high school, still a good friend of mine. His name's Ted Idell, and every time I talked to him, he just made me feel great about myself. This guy was just always so excited to see it. He's always like, "Oh, Dan, what's up? You're looking great, man. You exercise, you're looking great." And just every time I finished talking to him, like, man, what an awesome dude. Very inspiring, cool guy. So I thought, I'd like to be like that guy. I'd like to be a source of inspiration, motivation, and that kind of stuck with me. And, I kind of wanted to combine fitness, nutrition, and motivation. And it was always very easy to light a fire under my ass, and I was always, people could motivate me pretty easily. I was motivated by a lot of things, and a lot of people out there that just sluggish. They just have a hard time starting, and I just wanted to share what I had because I absolutely love this so much. So I tried to build my personality together and figure out a way to turn this into a career because I wanted to do what I love,
Mm-hmm.
So when I graduated, obvious choice was to get started in personal training, and I got started in personal training and also sports performance up in Chatham, New Jersey, Morris County, and did that for 2 years, and kept on learning, kept on going to seminars, trying to speak as much as I can. Started a blog, started writing about my own training, started a strongman training group. Because at that point, I really got into strongman. Awesome sport, by the way, and I really enjoyed it. I kind of thought to myself, every single patient, every single client I'm working with is injured, and I'm referring everyone else out to a physical therapist, and I crave more information. So I said, I want to go into physical therapy. I want to be able to conquer it from that end too. So I had the whole spectrum of knowledge, and that's what I ended up doing. And it's pretty much where I'm at right now. I'm 3 years into the program. It's my last year. I finish up in May, and I'm pretty pumped about that. And along the way, through my experience, I've learned quite a bit, and started a website. Started a couple websites, but my one main website right now is www.fitnesspainfree.com, and it's just a conglomeration of everything I'm trying to get out there. Motivational, inspirational stuff, a lot of stuff about injury prevention, some stuff about nutrition, and just trying to, for one, it's a great learning experience for me, and for two, it's just, a great experience to get more information out there, learn how to write, and just really become better, I guess,
Okay.
That's pretty much it. I work still part-time as a trainer, and I'm real excited that when I get out, I can do even more. So.
All right, so you ran, you did pole vaulting for Rutgers. You did the personal training thing. You competed in strongman. I believe you competed in CrossFit also. I'm not sure.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at right now. I love strongman. Strongman's awesome. For a 175-pound guy, there's not as much competition.
Yeah.
I would say. I ended up having some success in strongman. I won national championship at 175 pounds in 2009. And I didn't say I would. I said a lot of people in CrossFit said they stumbled upon it. They did one workout and they were hooked.
Yeah.
It wasn't really like that for me. I knew a lot of people that were doing it, and I tried it a little bit, got into it, competed. Then I went right back to strongman. I was like, yeah, I like strongman too much.
Yeah.
But then when I went to physical therapy school, there was no one around me really doing strongman. I had a lot of real close friends that were doing CrossFit, so I kind of glommed onto it a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I just found that the level of competition right now. I know a lot of people like to talk crap on CrossFit, and I can understand their perspective sometimes, but the level of competition in CrossFit is just absolutely ridiculous. And last year at the CrossFit Open, there's 50,000 people that signed up, and the current CrossFit champion, Rich Froning Jr. is no weak guy. I mean, he's got a 355 clean and jerk, 285 snatch. These are impressive numbers for a guy that's also in great shape too, and he's not even one of the strongest guys out there. So I think the level of competition is awesome, and CrossFit just draws people that absolutely love fitness, absolutely love health, and that just jogs me so much that I want to be a part of it. So
yeah, it's the vehicle to be. It's your vehicle that you could have to pursue what your overall dream is, or overall what your true being is. You're saying that you love exercise and you love for everybody else to not be sluggish and get off the couch per se and have their motivation. But if CrossFit's going to be that thing that gets them off the couch, then by far so be it. A lot of people. The realism is a lot of people are in strongman world. You got to be a little bit. You got to be a little bit demented, a little bit. And the average folk is going to be scared of stones and yokes and logs but the CrossFit angle or just the barbell kind of a body weight. type training style, it isn't as intimidating when you see people just like yourself doing it, as opposed to 300-pound behemoths that they see on TV doing stuff. You know what I mean? The people can relate a lot easier. But definitely.
Yeah, it's funny you say that. I just had a conversation with Andy Deck the other day. Had an opportunity to have him on the podcast, and that's exactly it. People hear strong, and they're like, "What the hell? You flip tires? That's crazy."
Yeah.
I remember thinking the same exact thing. Watching strongman on TV. You're like, how the hell do you get involved in this? These guys are like, born on a mountain, getting birthed by a volcano, and like they just become animals in the wilderness, whatever. And then at some point they can lift stones. But I mean, I'm 175 pounds, and I put, my application in the mail just like anyone else that I've never tried before in my life, and showed up, and I sucked, but I got better. And it's just like anything else. I mean, everyone is so friendly and strongman, and they're all starting from the bottom, working their way up.
Yeah, it's a grassroots sport. Everybody knows what it takes, and nobody's in it for the money. There really is no money in it, even the top guys. Maybe some of the top guys are making some dollars, but I guarantee you most of them still have jobs,
Yeah.
But definitely. So, all right. So you have the aspect or angle of strongman. You have the aspect of angle of being a collegiate athlete. Now with CrossFit and the therapy side of things, you have to have an interesting mix to philosophy of training.
Yeah, I used to be more about performance, and I think that's partly because I was not much. I'm only 27 right now, but being younger, your body's, you feel like it's pretty much indestructible, and you train as hard as possible all the time, and it's fun, it's great, you're making good progress, but your body eventually starts breaking down, and I think it really helps to be very smart about what you're doing, and that's kind of where my mindset has been lately: how to perform as well as possible and stay healthy at the same time, And part of it is I'm in here for the long haul, and I want to be able to perform when I'm 50, 60. I want to be able to do these things as I get older and older and older. And I think, the trend for most people is they go until they get hurt and they stop.
Yep.
Definitely. You see a lot of people, even in high school, college especially, and I was one of those guys. I got burned out. I got hurt in college, and I didn't want to do what I was doing anymore. And it's pretty much balls to the wall all the time with what I was doing, and didn't know how to back off, and it hurt me. So, this is a mistake I still make, because I love training as hard as possible, but the injury prevention side is huge, and I think that a lot of the physical therapy stuff has turned me into guys like Greg Cook and Kelly Starr and some of the guys that are doing strength conditioning, but also from an injury prevention angle. Mm-hmm. And some of the flexibility, some of the mobility stuff is super important, because if you're looking at something from a performance angle, like Olympic lifting, let's say, you're squatting a big weight, if you're not flexible enough to get in a good position, you're not going to be as powerful as you could be. So you always think about things like adding more weight, X amount of sets, X amount of reps. I'm going to lift this many times a week. I'm going to rest this time. I'll peak in the programming. That's all important. But another dimension is, hey, how good is my technique? Can I tweak this? Can I get more stable here? Can I get more flexible here? If I can get a better position for my squat, it's going to add weight to my squat the same way as, doing 3 weeks of max effort work, So that's one of the areas that has really grown in my own training and programming. And I like to hit my training a lot more from a technique angle, mobility angle, as well as all the other good stuff that I always have. But I think that's one of the biggest eye-openers for me. So
very, very cool then. So you mentioned Kelly Starrett, Gray Cook. Is there anybody else that you've really followed for a long time?
Well, I guess my initial people that really I looked up to were John Berardi, one of the very first, Dave Tate, Louis Simmons. I was really motivated by all the West Side guys big time. Mm-hmm. And as far as sports performance was, Joe DeFranco was one of my early motivations. I loved his West Side for Skinny Bastard stuff. I actually did that for a long time, even when I wasn't competing, just because I thought it was an awesome program. Mm-hmm. I'm sure your listeners probably know about West Side for Skinny Bastards, but Joe DeFranco pretty much took the West Side template from Louis Simmons and made it real popular in the sports performance community, and I think it it's really stuck, and a lot of people really like that template. On top of that, I really like a lot of what Mike Boyle has to say, even though he kind of flies in the face of most powerlifting.
Yep.
dogma. I think he's also on top of the game. He knows a great deal. And I think I learned about Gray Cook through Mike Boyle. Not absolutely certain about that. But Gray Cook has a ridiculous sum of information. He knows so much. It's when I first listened to Gray Cook, it's a little tough to hear him speak and take it all in because I think he talks over people's heads a lot of times.
Yeah.
And not on purpose. It's just that he's talking to a lot of strength and conditioning professionals and personal trainers, and the stuff he's saying is such a deep level, and he's talking about in-depth things that are so valuable at the same time. It's like, man, I need to learn the basics before moving on to what Gray's talking about. And I think he does a great job of simplifying things, but he's just his mindset is above and beyond. I think he's really out there with some cool stuff. So I like what he's doing quite a bit.
Yeah, he's speaking on another level.
Yeah, but he's good. Who else is good? I followed a lot of Eric Cressy stuff for a long period of time. I like the way he thinks. I really like how he uses his brain quite a bit. I like how he looks into research quite a bit too. As far as physical therapy goes, I like Mike Bernal. He's got a good website. Charlie Weingroff's been the person I like to look up to.
Mm-hmm.
Shirley Sarman, Stuart McGill, Joshua Cleveland, a couple guys. These are all good names in the physical therapy world too. But I just try to draw information from everywhere. I used to be the type of person that would look at one or two people and really follow what they're saying, and then when someone else had something else to say, kind of dismissed it. And trying to take the exact opposite approach now because everyone's got something good to say. It's just that every once in a while it's going to clash, and there's more than one way to skin a cat. So you can just take bits and pieces from everyone. You can make something that's your own, and you don't have to necessarily get mad every time people contradict each other. So.
Very true. So basically, starting out, what's the best advice you could give to kids coming up or newbies, or they know nothing about lifting, but maybe they do. Maybe they think they know more than they do. What's the best advice you could possibly give them?
And stay hungry. I think one of the biggest things is be passionate about what you're doing, have confidence in what you're doing, and don't worry about the fancy stuff. Get really, really good at the basics. I don't know. I've been training. I've been in sports since I was 10 years old. I'm still trying to get better at squatting. It's come full circle. It used to be, I'm trying to do all types of Olympic lifts, and I still do. But now I'm like, man, I got to get better at squatting. I wish I had started squatting when I was younger. I wish I had started just deadlifting when I was younger. I was into all types of fancy stuff. And not that the fancy stuff is bad, but work on the basics. Get really good. If you're a wrestler, work on the basic takedowns. If you're play baseball, work on throwing, work on batting. Work on the basic elements of your sport, and then go really deep with that because you can get a great appreciation for it. One example of my life is that I used to think Olympic lifting was boring, super boring.
Mm-hmm.
And it's two lifts. It used to be three. They cut one out because it's dangerous, wherever it is.
Mm-hmm.
And you clean and jerk and you snatch. And you look at some of the programs that people use, and it's like, all right, clean and jerk snatch, clean and jerk snatch, clean and jerk snatch. All right, let's do some squatting, clean and jerk snatch. All right, now I'm going to do maybe some deadlifting. And it just looks so boring to me. But practicing clean and jerk and all the Olympic lifts now and snatch, there's so many subtle nuances to it that just a small tweak can make a major change in your game. And I think that makes all the difference. We can worry about the nuances all day long. If you don't have your basics hammered down really good, you're not gonna succeed. So, a real basic approach. I guess you could say it's similar to what Dan John always talks about. He's real basic what he does. And I like that quite a bit. So, yeah.
Interesting stuff. So, what do you know? Basically, one or two things that are always training wise for yourself that you're making progress, or they're sort of indicator lifts, or keystone, or something along those lines that like I'm getting very, like I'm on my shit right now, basically.
Yeah, that's tough, man. When I was doing just strongman, my deadlift's going up and my overhead press is going up. Everything is going to be better.
Okay.
Those are my main lists. As far as strongman goes, I was worried about axle clean and jerk, log clean and press, my yoke, farmer's walk, and then probably stones. And that was pretty much it. If those were all going up, then I knew I was getting better and better and better. I knew that carried over to all the other events. CrossFit is a different beast, I'll tell you what. I came into it with that strongman mentality.
Mm-hmm.
Stronger, stronger, stronger. And I never thought that I wasn't the guy that ignored all his weaknesses. It's just that all my weaknesses were, stuff I didn't necessarily want to work on. I love the lifting portion of it. So when I came into CrossFit, I'm like, man, I suck at burpees, high rep, bodyweight squats. All that stuff is not so much fun. But I've made an effort to work on this. I really made an effort to work on all that stuff, work on my weaknesses, to work on things like pistols, muscle ups. A lot of Olympic lifts, I was probably the worst at snatches of all time going into CrossFit. And that's something I've just hammered like crazy. I just got back from doing snatches. Mm-hmm. So my Olympic lifts are going up. That's a great thing. It's hard to tell on CrossFit because there's so many workouts, but they do have a couple benchmark workouts. If you ever heard of the workouts that are named after women, those are going up. You're doing better. But it's kind of difficult because CrossFit, if you're getting better at one thing, say if your strength is going way up, and sometimes in another area something else is going down. So it's tough. It's a tough thing to get better at. It's part of the reason why I like it so much because it's complex. Yeah. It's very difficult. People look at CrossFit and they think, oh, that's dumb programming. That's stupid. I mean, it's so random. And part of the challenge is that because it's so random and there's so much stuff, you got to be really good at programming to figure out how to get better at it because it's complicated. You need to get better at all the Olympic lifts. You need to get better at all the power lifts. You need to get better at running, swimming, jumping, whatever, high repetition stuff. And that's tough to put in a training program to get better at everything. Mm-hmm. So that's one of the reasons I have so much appreciation for the guys that do that.
Definitely. Yeah, you always like I take the viewpoint on CrossFit. I really, not that I don't really care what people do. Some of it, as long as they're moving, whatever. But I see sometimes that I'll have, like in my area, I know there's 2 places, and I know some girls that recently just signed up. They know nothing about lifting in any aspect or any sort. And they're telling me what they're doing in their so-called beginner class. And I'm like, whoa. Yeah. You guys shouldn't necessarily be there yet. But maybe their coaching is...
First day of class.
What's that?
Doing like a full Olympic snatch your first day of
class. Yeah, pretty much, basically. So that's it is what it is. Like, I think in anything else, like it all depends on the coach that you get. It doesn't matter. Does not matter what you're talking about. It could be any sport in general. But it all depends on the coach you got and their experience. You know what I mean? And how good they are at coaching.
Yeah. Definitely.
So
you hit nail on the head, man. It comes down to the coach. A lot of people come in and the workouts on the board. Snatches, deadlifts, kicking pull-ups, and if you don't modify that, someone's going to get hurt or they're not going to do it properly. So we have a beginner's program. They get ramped up slowly. We don't introduce crazy stuff. We go slowly with it. And one of the things I've been working on quite a bit lately is trying to assess people because the population I work with, I worked in a gym where most of my clientele were 40, 50, pushing 60, and I was in a group training atmosphere. Things like overhead press were like, oh, be really careful with overhead press. Just because people don't have enough flexibility to do an overhead press. They're not going to have enough flexibility to do a deep squat or get in position for a snatch. And, you can test someone to see if they can do that before they come into a program. If someone can't get into the bottom of a snatch without their back rounding, and I'm not going to have them load that up. That's just a recipe for disaster. Same thing, if they can't put their arms overhead, normally without any weight, I'm not going to have them do overhead press just because that's going to blow out their shoulder eventually. And it's basics like that. It becomes really hard because in CrossFit, it's group exercise. Mm-hmm. What are you going to do? Because you have people in the class that necessarily, they want to lose weight, they want to get in awesome shape, they want to look great. You have some people that are maybe a little bit older that they just want to play with their kids. They don't care too much about getting dieseled. Mm-hmm. You're trying to combine these people together, and sometimes you get a recipe for disaster. So it's a challenge. I don't want to say it's CrossFit's fault. It's kind of the nature of group fitness. But there's definitely ways that we can avoid that. And I think that in a lot of ways there's smart people that are doing it properly, and there's a lot of ways that are just people that aren't doing it as well as they could. I used to see that in group exercise classes back when I was just a regular personal trainer. So I think it's an epidemic you see all over the place, not necessarily CrossFit. But,
Yeah, definitely.
You know.
Yeah, CrossFit's just easy to pick on the moment because of its popularity, and because of the simple fact that depending on which place you go to, they could have between 10 people to 50 people per class, depending on the size of it.
Yep.
But yeah, definitely, I agree 100% with that. Let's see. So basically, like we've heard about your lifting career, your education. What's been personality wise, a little bit deeper, but what's been one of your biggest challenges besides your personality? You said that it was a little bit tough for you to get out there or be a little bit more outgoing. But let's talk about lifting wise. If you had to say, what's been your biggest challenge?
Weaknesses in lifting. I think as strongman, I was always good at events that required some type of athleticism, and that's what I kind of liked about strongman compared to powerlifting. I was never the guy that had the most brute strength. Exercises like I like the axle clean and jerk because it required some technique and required some speed, and I like the tire because that required some technique as well. I like the carrying events because you just had to be really fast on your feet, be able to move quickly with the heavy weight. I was always good at the carrying events. The brute strength stuff I was never that great at, but it eventually got pretty strong. As far as CrossFit goes, I'm a terrible squatter, and when I was
what do you consider terrible?
I just recently did a front squat with 300. I have a 360 back squat, but I mean I have a 335 behind the neck push jerk. I've got 575 deadlift, so my squat is way horrible comparably, So I've been working on that a lot, and I spent probably about 8 months when I was doing strongman, and I was the strongest I've ever been. I was, walking with 800-pound yoke, walking 350 a hand, pressing over 300 with the axle, and things were going great. And one of the keys to my success is that I wasn't squatting, and that sounds kind of crazy, but I was finding that I was putting out so much energy squatting once a week or a couple times a month that it would just fry me, and I wouldn't be able to do some of the other lifts. I wouldn't be able to do heavy farmers. I wouldn't be able to do heavy yoke. And when you go to competition, there's very seldom a heavy squat. I mean, they appear sometimes, but not that often. So I just eliminated it completely, and all my other lifts kept on going up and up and up, and I kept getting stronger. And I guess in strongman you can kind of pick and choose the competitions you want to go to. So in a way, I was getting a weakness, and if a squat showed up in nationals, I would have gotten crushed by it. But at least in my mind, I was getting better at the main lifts that mattered the most, and because of that, my squat just absolutely suffered. And I wasn't used to doing Olympic style squatting at all. Front squats, overhead squats, I wasn't used to that whatsoever. I was raised on the Louis Simmons wide style squat, lots of box squats, good mornings. I wasn't doing that upright stuff, really deep. I just was not doing that. So when I started, I just got crushed by it. And I've been bringing it up, and I've been following some Olympic lifting programs where I used to do just strictly powerlifting. And that's been a big obstacle for me. So, but it's improving. It's turning those weaknesses into strengths slowly, and I'm not getting crushed by it anymore, which is good. So,
yeah, definitely. That's as long as you acknowledge and you always know what your weaknesses or sort of weaknesses are, it's all good. Everybody has kinks in their armor. You know what I mean? Some shape, way, or form. Doesn't really. Everybody does. Definitely. So we've actually covered a lot. Heard just about everything there is. Well, everything that everybody here needs to know about Dan Pope. Is there anything else that you would like to share with everybody else about yourself or business wise or anything like that?
Yeah, I mean, I love fitness first and foremost, and what I was kind of getting at earlier is that I think a lot of people have some type of passion in their life, and they're really afraid to pursue that and make that into a career. Maybe that's because it's not acceptable path to get there, or whatever reason. I really like a quote by Laird Hamilton, and he's a big wave surfer, surfed the biggest waves in the world. And I'm probably going to botch his quote up a little bit, but he says something along the lines of, "We are our own worst inhibitors." And I think that's absolutely true. Imagine every time you thought about something you'd like to achieve in your life or some big goal you have, and you have one excuse for every goal that you have. You know, like I don't have the time, or my wife or my kids, can't afford this. I don't have the genetics. Imagine if every time that you had an excuse, you came up with one way to get closer to that goal instead.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I feel like it's very tough to attain your goals, but very, very possible. It's also one of the most fruitful things you could ever do. I'm not where I'd like to be with my career right now. I know that I'm making gradual steps, and it's one of the most exciting things of all time. I wake up, 5:30, 6 o'clock in the morning to go train people, to go write my blog, to get all this stuff out there. I absolutely love it, and other people just having trouble getting out of bed every day. I'm excited. I want to attack the day, and that's because I've made the decision that I want to follow something that I'm very, very passionate about, So people are there that have a passion and that are thinking about going after it, just do it. Please, you're doing yourself a major favor by doing that, And if you don't know what you're passionate about, I heard a pretty good explanation the other day. I think it was Mike Thompson. He was interviewed by the guys at I Love Marketing. He said, what do you think about when you're distracted? When you're not doing your work, you should be doing work. What are you thinking about? And for me, you can ask my classmates about this, the guy I was sitting next to. Like, I'm writing programming. I'm writing down nutrition. I'm writing how many calories I eat. I'm writing down articles. I'm writing all this crap down. I should be paying attention to what's going on, on the board. And to me, that resonated with me. That's what I absolutely love. And I also know that I want to try to inspire people because it feels so good to be motivated. I draw so much from that. And, it's a great feeling. I just really want to try to get others to experience the same thing. So if you're on the fence, go for it. Don't make excuses. Get after it.
Definitely, that's some good stuff right there. Yeah, that pretty much wraps it all up for here. So Dan, let's just talk about say your blog again, so everybody knows, real quick.
Okay, it's www.fitnesspainfree.com. You guys want to take a look? I would really appreciate it. I blog all my own trainings on there. I do a lot of ridiculous stuff, so if you want to go in there and take a look, I'd appreciate it. I write a lot about performance, injury prevention, how to be a badass for your training without hurting yourself, tearing your body down. I have a podcast, too, with a good friend of mine who's a strongman named Rob Rowland. He's a physical therapist, so we're always bouncing ideas off each other, trying to give ideas for people who are hurt. They're trying to rehab, and for also people that are trying to stay injury-free and just really enjoy what they love doing, which is lifting weights. As fitness professionals, physical therapists, and personal trainers, we want a paradigm shift. The reason why people go to their doctors or they go to a physical therapist is because they want to continue doing their sport. They want to continue doing what they absolutely love doing. And a lot of times, physical therapists, doctors will turn them down and say, look, you got to stop doing this. Your body's not meant to lift these weights. And, maybe not, all right? I know that, our ancestors Grok weren't deadlifting 600 pounds, but that's what we love. It gives us great confidence and pride. And I think it can be accomplished. We just need to be smart about it. So I want to give people that motivation and help people along their path instead of telling them, look, you got to stop what you're doing. I want to try and motivate you and continue with what you're doing. Just maybe do a little more smart. So that's what we're doing. Definitely.
That's some excellent stuff then. All right, guys. So this is it's the end of it pretty much. Of course, this is Lou from Triumph Strength and Athletics. And this is going to be up on Triumph Strength and Athletics blog and up on our YouTube page. So check it out. And that's pretty much it.
Yeah, thank you very much, Lou. I really appreciate it. I'm glad I got up here and I was able to speak. I really appreciate this.
Oh, yeah. No problem, man. Definitely. I'll talk to you.
All right. Later, man.